Test. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes to open the deliberative session until people have had a chance to check in. If you've checked in, please sit down.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the deliberative session of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District to order at 9:05. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to introduce the school board, the budget committee, and the administration first. Please acknowledge when I read your name with your hand or stand up if you prefer. School board members from Canaan are Timothy Josephson, chair. Diane Adam is the other Canaan rep. Rochester representative is Laura Annette. Enfield representatives are Don Archibald and Joseph Wood. Grafton representative Brewster Gove is not here today. Kathleen Stacy is the Orange representative. For the budget committee, Wally Andrew is the Canaan rep who is the vice chair. The other Canaan rep is Kristen DeLoe. The Dorchester representative is Taylor Annette. Enfield representatives are Elise Payson and Amber Bissonette. Grafton representative is Andrew Cushing. And the school board rep to the budget committee is Tim Josephson. The administration who are here today are Amanda Isabel, superintendent. Michelle Lockwood, business administrator. Kamala Gunn is the school district clerk. And our legal representation today is Peter Phillips. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Scott Sanborn, the most important budget committee person. He's the chair. All right, the next thing I'd like to do is review the rules, the moderator rules. The moderator will use the following general rules of procedure whose main purpose is to keep the meeting moving. The moderator will take articles in the order they appear on the warrant. The moderator will announce the article number and read the text of the article. The moderator will then accept a motion to open the article for discussion. If the motion is seconded, the moderator will recognize a member of the school board and/or budget committee to explain the article. The moderator will then open the floor for discussion. Just a reminder, the actual voting will take place on March 10th by official ballot. Everyone who speaks must use a microphone so they may be heard. I believe the microphones are located at the top and the middle of the auditorium, correct? No one may speak unless they have the floor. No one may have the floor unless recognized by the moderator. Except for points of order, the moderator will not recognize speakers unless they are standing at one of the microphones. Each speaker must clearly state their name and their town of residence. The moderator will only allow one motion on the floor at a time. All motions must be in writing. The moderator will not accept negative motions that require a no vote to vote in the affirmative. The moderator will not allow personal attacks or inappropriate language. Any person behaving in a disorderly manner and after notice from the moderator who persists in such behavior may be removed from the meeting. All questions and comments must be addressed to the moderator. The moderator will choose who responds to the questions. Each speaker may only speak once until everyone has had the opportunity to speak. I will now read the warrant after I have some water. '26 warrant articles, Mascoma Valley Regional School District, County of Grafton, State of New Hampshire. To the inhabitants of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District in the County of Grafton and the State of New Hampshire, consisting of the towns of Canaan, Dorchester, Enfield, Grafton, and Orange, qualified to vote in district affairs. You are hereby notified to meet on Saturday, January 31st, 2026 at 9 a.m. at the Mascoma Valley Regional High School Auditorium in Canaan, New Hampshire for the first session of the annual school district meeting to hear explanation, discuss, and debate the subjects in warrant articles 5 through 10. Articles 5 through 10 may be amended subject to the following limitations. A, warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. B, warrant articles that are amended at this January 31st session shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. And C, no warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. You are also hereby notified to meet again on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 for the second session of the annual school district meeting to vote by official ballot, to elect officers, to vote questions required by law to be inserted on said ballot, and to vote on all warrant articles from the first session. Location and polling hours for March 10th, 2026 sessions are as follows. Town of Canaan, Canaan Fire Station, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Dorchester, Dorchester Town Hall, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Enfield, Enfield Community Building, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Town of Grafton, Grafton Fire and Ambulance Station, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Town of Orange, Orange Town Hall, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Article 1, to choose school board members. To choose by ballot 3 members of the school board, each to be elected at large. 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Dorchester. 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Grafton. And 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Orange. Article 2, to choose district budget committee members. To choose by ballot 3 members of the district budget committee, each to be elected at large. 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Dorchester. 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Grafton. And 1 to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029 from the town of Orange. 3, Article 3, to choose school district treasurer. To choose by ballot 1 school district treasurer to be elected at large to serve a 3-year term ending in 2029. Article 4, to choose school district moderator. To choose by ballot 1 school district moderator to be elected at large to serve a 2-year term ending in 2028. Article 5, open enrollment. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to adopt the provisions of New Hampshire RSA Chapter 194-D and become an open enrollment school district under the terms of the RSA, to admit 1% of the district's student population, but not to exceed 10 students from outside the Mascoma Valley Regional School District, and to allow 0% of the resident student population eligible to seek enrollment outside of the district. Majority vote required. School board recommends 6-0-0. Budget committee recommends 6-0-0. At this time, I would entertain a motion to waive reading Articles 6 through 10 until such time as we discuss them. Tim Josephson moved. Scott Sanborn second. We also accept a motion to open discussion for Article 5, open enrollment at this time. I forgot, we do need to vote on not reading all those before we discuss the first one. All those in favor of the motion, raise your card, please. Thank you. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Now we can move on. So I would like to entertain a motion to open Article 5 for discussion. Tim Josephson, Scott Sanborn seconds. Scott Sanborn will speak first from the Budget Committee. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Tim Josephson will speak first on open enrollment. I've moved right on to the budget.
Good morning, folks. I'm Tim Josephson, Chair of the Mascoma Valley Regional School Board. This warrant article on open enrollment is something that's come to us across the state. This was not anything that has been an issue until recently in New Hampshire. If you've been following along with some of the news on open enrollment, it's been discovered that there's a district that wanted to kind of promote themselves and accept students from another district, and there's a workaround in the state law right now that allows districts to do that. The problem is that when someone from that sending town, let's say someone from Canaan or Enfield, sent their child to another district, the state court came down and said, well, that sending district has to pay for 80% of that child's costs to the receiving district. Because the sending district did not have any kind of policy on open enrollment. This allows the receiving district to get 80% of the cost of the sending district's money, and the sending district has no say in how that money is spent. So that would mean that if somebody had their child here and sent them to Lebanon, we as taxpayers here in the Mascoma Valley District would have no say in how that money is spent at the Lebanon School District. This is something that has a potential to send a lot of our tax dollars out of our district without any say. And upon discussion with our legal counsel, discussion amongst the board, we felt that this was an important warrant article to bring to the voters to protect our taxpayers' dollars, because we felt that those dollars should stay in our district. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the school board or administration on this warrant article? I open it up to anyone if they'd like to speak to this warrant article. Please come to a microphone.
Yeah, Bo Grafton. I find it odd that we would have an issue with sending money out of the district with having no say, but we have no issue having students come in and being able to handle that money without voters from those districts having any say in it.
Sure. If you look at the warrant article, it allows us to admit 1%, but not to exceed 10 students. This allows us to have some flexibility because there are times when schools will need to send kids between districts, if it's not a good fit, if it's an educational hardship manifest, something like that. So this allows us to receive if needed, because we don't want to be a district that says, no, we're not going to take anyone who wants to be here. But it's on a very limited basis. It's only 1% of our student population of a max of 10. And I think other districts are doing the same thing at their deliberative sessions to limit the incoming as well.
With absence of any other people, proposing an amendment to match the amount of outgoing to incoming.
Okay, I have an amendment to Article 5, open enrollment. I'll read it. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to adopt the provisions of New Hampshire RSA Chapter 194D and become an open enrollment school district under the terms of the RSA to admit 1% of the district's student population, but not to exceed 10 students from outside the Mascoma Valley Regional School District, and to allow 1% of the resident student population eligible to seek enrollment outside of the district, but not to exceed 10 students. Do I have a second?
Gary Whitney from Grafton, I second this motion.
Thank you, Gary. Is there any other discussion on this amendment? Please state your name and town, please.
Hi, I'm Kelly Dunlap from Orange. I have one question, since I'm not that familiar with this process. Would this exchange of sorts be equitable in terms of the amount of money spent? Affordable. Would it be an equal exchange?
No, I do not believe this would be equitable in terms of money spent because it's tied to the sending district's rate. Is that correct, Peter? Yeah, it's tied to our rate, and so if we send out, it's tied to our rate, but if they send in, it's tied to their rate. So there's a potential that somebody would come from another district that spends less per student, and we would actually get less than the 80% of what our 80% would be. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other discussion on the amendment to Article 5?
Again, Gary Whitney from Grafton. My only comment on this is putting the, changing the 0% to 1% for the outgoing seems to be a good thing to do in the sense that students who don't get what they need here in this district are free to go elsewhere. And if it's all about the students, it seems like that'd be a good thing to do.
I can understand that.
Name,
Oh,
excuse me.
Carol Ann Morrison. I just assumed you all knew me.
And town, please.
And Heyman.
Thank you.
So, we don't want to send our students out from our district. And if there are reasons to send them out from our district, for instance, some children have special needs that can't be met here, then we do that. But we can't just have some willy-nilly setup where anyone can send anyone. This just, the way we're wording this is so that if someone has to come here, they can. But we're not just taking all the kids from everywhere. We're taking the kids whose needs can't be met. In the same way that if for some reason a child had a medical problem or something and needed to be sent to a special school, we can do that. But we can't just, the parents don't like the school board, so they want their kids sent someplace else, or they don't like the teacher their child has, so they want them sent someplace else. I'm sure we'll do some vetting if someone needs to send a kid here, just as we would want to do if we had to send a kid elsewhere.
Hi, I'm Kate Plumley Stewart. I'm from Enfield. And, we're talking about students having specific needs, but there are other reasons to have a sending school district. There are a number of school districts in the state still that don't have a high school. And I'm going to just throw out, the town of Piermont still has school choice, right? So there are places that are so small that they could pick Hanover, they could, in Lyme, you start out there, then do you go to Hanover? Or is there an opportunity, say your parent works here, that you could come here to Mascoma? I want to see those students come here if they choose us. It's also a small amount of revenue, and I think it's fiscally irresponsible to send our money out. We are in tough times for a lot of folks around here. Some people aren't struggling, but sending more money out without any control is something that I can't support at this time, and I would encourage you to vote no on the amendment.
Tim Lenahan, Enfield. It's one of these rare times where Kate and I are going to agree. Sorry, Kate. I will say, in addition, one of the things that, first of all, I think is very prudent as written, because this matter is still being determined at the state level. Until that dust settles, we're really guessing. So I think it's very prudent to leave it at this. And one of the major concerns, as a member of the statutory committee studying the cost of education in the state, one of the major things that I have discovered is the cost of transportation is so high. And I really question, how are we going to be sending kids out? We already have, and no offense to Butler Bus or the district at all, but we know we have a problem with transporting kids. It's very difficult in rural settings. And I guess what I'm asking is, how is that going to get better if we're sending kids out to other districts? I would add that I've had a child go through this high school who had the benefit of the Hartford program. I know that we've had students here at Mascoma that have been able to participate in ice hockey with Lebanon. We found ways around it. And RSA 193 also gives non-disabled students, because the disabled students who are identified for special education have a whole other process. But RSA 193 gives the superintendent the ability to place a child somewhere else if that is in fact best interest. And as somebody who has done that with 3 districts in the last 12 months, I don't think we have a problem. I think that we can send people when it's absolutely necessary. But that said, it's for the legislature to decide, and I think the article as written addresses it in a prudent way until the dust settles. And for that reason, I would encourage people to vote against the amendment.
Tim Josephson, one more thing to add.
Just one more thing that came up in our discussions at the school board level is that one thing we're really proud of here at Mascoma is our athletics. You can go to the gym there and look at all the banners that they hung on the wall. You just saw our football team last night hang up their runner-up banner. We're really proud of those kids and what they do. Something like this passes, you can have a student who, you know, maybe they're motivated and they're a really good athlete, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to play at Mascoma, I don't want to go play at Hanover, I want to go play at Lebanon, I want to go play at Kearsarge, because it would get more attention from D1 schools or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I would hate to see that something like our athletics fall apart because students start school shopping and team shopping because they think it's better for them to go and do that. You know, our students with our athletics, we have D1 athletes. They've already gone, you know, signed commitment letters to D1 schools. Like, they can do it from here. And so I would really hate to see, like, the athletics program that we built be affected by something like this. Thanks.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment?
Yes. I'd just like to say the closing remark. It's a new thing in the state. The school is essentially experimenting with the 10 students. It's a very small amount in comparison to over 1,000 kids in the district as is. All I'm proposing is in the same way we're trying and seeing how it works out with having 10 students coming into the school district. We just experiment for 1 year and see how it works out for having 10 kids going out of the school district. If it turns out to be disastrous or things don't work out or the money doesn't make sense, we can simply come next year and close that. It's only 10 students. There's not a large amount of the school.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this article, the amendment on this article?
Hello, Becky Powell from Enfield. I don't know if someone up there can tell us what the financial hit would be if we sent 10 students out of district and had to pay 80% of the cost of the receiving districts, because I have a feeling that would be a good chunk of money that then we have to adjust our budget, Mascoma budget, to reflect that lost money. That's it.
So our average cost per pupil here in the district is over $24,000. Right now, a quick run of that is, Michelle, 80% of $24,000. 19.2, so I like to round to 20 because I like to do round math. So if you're looking at sending 10 people out of district, you're looking at $200,000 that we have not accounted for in our operating budget, right? We don't know what that could be. So you're looking at about $200,000, which would be a significant impact, in my opinion, to our operating budget here in the district.
Sorry, Bob Souza from Canaan. One more closing comment. I think, yeah, you could vote to allow someone to go out, and then if next year you said it wasn't a good idea and you went to rescind it, I think you legally can do that. But I would suspect in this litigious community we live in now, somebody would protest and take you to court, and it would be a nightmare. So I think you need to think about today what you want to do in the future. Turning it on and turning it off sounds like a half-baked idea. I don't think that idea has been thought through.
Tim Jennings, Enfield. To support the last speaker, I would suggest that, like the Education Freedom Account, you know, we're only talking a handful of students the first year, and now look where we're at with that.
Dan Kiley, Enfield. I think I'm in support of this amendment. And the reason is if we feel that we have no problem taking students from other districts and getting their money, our problem is that if we have to give it to another district, we've got to give them our money. I think if you're going to do that, then you've got to have zero on both sides.
Tim Jennings, Enfield. While that scenario at face value may be true, you've got to consider that the other school districts actually voted to allow their students to be sent to another district. So that's their choice. And I don't think we should choose to allow our students to be sent to other districts.
Dave Buffet, Enfield, and this is a question for the attorney. I'm not sure quite, not being a lawyer, how the wording of the law is the district required to allow acceptance of students from other districts according to this RSA?
Good morning, Peter Phillips, District Council. That's a good question. The law's quite clear that the district can decide to not accept students from other districts. It also can allow students to go to other districts. But to be an open enrollment school or district, at least one school has to be deemed open enrollment. And according to the statute. A school district shall impose limitations on the number of resident pupils who may attend open enrollment schools located inside and outside the school district. Though these limitations shall be represented as any percentage between 0 and 100% of the school district's current pupil enrollment. So it is perfectly legal to restrict students leaving the district, but at the same token, the district, to be open enrollment, has to designate one school or one or more schools within the district that will accept students from other districts.
So the districts do need to have at least one school that does accept out-of-district students.
Someone asked me a question earlier about whether could you to be open enrollment, can you do 0 and 0 in and out? And the court case that the board chair, school board chair mentioned, the Pittsfield case, the Pittsfield School District. In that case, the district did not have an open enrollment policy, had not adopted the statute, and the receiving district, Prospect Mountain, accepted the student from Pittsfield. Pittsfield didn't want to pay Prospect Mountain 80% on the statute. Court says, no, I'm sorry, you didn't have a policy in effect. You're going to pay the 80%, and that's triggered this discussion here today and in many districts all over the state. These next week or so on this issue on the RSA 194D.
Thank you. I guess that's why I chose the profession I did.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment to Article 5? If none, I'll read the amendment again, and then we will vote on if we are going to accept this amendment. Article 5, open enrollment. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to adopt the provisions of New Hampshire RSA Chapter 194D and become an open enrollment school district under the terms of the RSA, to admit 1% of the district student population, but not to exceed 10 students from outside the Mascoma Valley Regional School District, and to allow 1% of the resident student population eligible to seek enrollment outside of the district, but not to exceed 10 students. So to vote, you'll need your voting card. So if you're in favor of the amendment to motion 5, please raise your card. Okay, thank you. Those opposed? The nays have it. Okay, so we'll go back to the original warrant article number 5, and I will open it up for discussion if there's any further discussion on it. I'm seeing none. We don't vote until we vote when we go to the polls.
Then I make a motion to limit reconsideration on Article 5.
Tim made a motion to limit reconsideration on Article 5. Do I have a second? Elise Payson seconded. Thank you. Okay, Article 6, operating budget. Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to move this thing along. Didn't I say that was one of my duties? Sorry, this is way too early for me. Okay, we need to vote on limiting reconsideration on Article 5. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Article 6, the operating budget. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District raise and appropriate as an operating budget, not including appropriations by special warrant articles and other appropriations voted separately, the amount set forth on the budget posted to the warrant or as amended by vote of the first deliberative session for the purposes set forth therein totaling $32,974,071. Should this article be defeated, the default budget shall be $33,209,497, which is the same as last year with certain adjustments required by previous action of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District or by law, or the governing body may hold one special meeting in accordance with RSA 40:13, 10, and 16 to take up the issue of a revised operating budget only. Majority vote required. School board recommends 600. Budget committee recommends 600. Entertain a motion to open up Article 6 for discussion. Scott and Tim seconded. And I would ask Scott to discuss this article.
Good morning, thanks for coming out this morning, appreciate it. I'm Scott Sanborn, the Orange representative to the Budget Committee and the chair of this past several years. I'd like to begin by thanking everybody who's involved with this process, the members of the Budget Committee who spent many hours during the fall going over the information, and particularly the SAU administration, Amanda and Michelle Lockwood, our business administrator, all of our department heads and principals. They put many, many hours into preparing the budgets that they bring before us to review. And I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Seth, the sound guru, who is making it so you can hear us tonight, but he also makes provisions for meetings to be broadcast when it's appropriate. So when we start this process, we start at the beginning, we start with zero every year. We obviously take into account previous year's expenditures, but we don't start with a preconceived number and we try to make the budget fit. We start with what we need to educate our students. And so the department heads come to us with their requests, and the budget committee goes through literally line by line, and we review, we ask questions, we ask for justification, we have a lot of discussion about that. And so by the time it gets to this point, this has all been reviewed over and over and over again. If you're involved in the process, what you find very quickly is that there's only so much that we have any real control over. The vast majority of the budget is made up of things like building maintenance and utilities that we're given the costs, the contracted services, we are given the costs, the blessing, we are given the costs. The salaries is determined by the voters and other articles separately voted on, so we're fairly limited in what we have any real control over. In this particular year, the proposed budget is up just under 1% from over last year. You'll note that the default budget is actually higher than the proposed budget. And if you have any question as to whether what we're asking for is responsible, that should give you your answer, because that is, as it's described in the article, it's last year's budget plus necessary adjustments. So what that does is it basically accounts for inflation and other articles that have been voted on. The fact that we're proposing a budget that's less than that should tell you that we've made some great efforts to keep this down and keep this responsible. And within that context, though, we all are still very dedicated to providing a good education to our students, which leads to a strong community. So as far as the details for this year, one of the biggest driver of the increase was health insurance. One of those costs we have no control over. Our health insurance costs increased by 26% over last year. That by itself would have increased our budget about 3%. There's other things. We understand the enrollment is continuing to decline, but that decline has been slowing lately, and both elementary schools are now holding steady or increasing a little bit. So that's being addressed through the administration is doing a great job of being flexible with their staffing and moving people around, looking at ways to combine some of the small number of classes where it's possible. They're also not refilling some of the positions where people have retired and moved out of district. So there are some reductions in the staffing costs through those sort of efforts on the administration's part. As far as other increases in the budget, other than just inflationary increases to contracted services, the only item that is really up is a one-time modest increase in cost for the elementary curriculum, as they have opted to move to a new program which is designed to foster a love for reading and critical thinking skills, and a lot of research has gone into selecting these improvements in our curriculum, and the budget committee is very much in support of that. We've, in addition to the staffing, we've made some cuts in a couple of other areas. Tuitions to the Ledger Charter School, where in the past we've sent students there basically on request. We're going to have a more rigorous approach to improving those kinds of alternate placements, and so the tuition costs we expect to go down significantly. We've shifted a few of the grounds and maintenance projects into the capital improvement projects to be funded from capital reserve rather than through the operating budget. We postponed a few upgrades to security cameras and things like that, and we've dropped some outdated software and the associated licensing. So we've really gone through, I say we, the administration, has really gone through a fine-tooth comb to see where we can bring this budget down to a manageable level, all while providing what the students need. So that's pretty much summary in a nutshell. Once again, I really want to thank the members of the budget committee for all the work they put in. Whether you realize it or not, you have a pretty exceptional group of people who are doing this for you on your behalf, and they deserve your thanks and admiration for all the time they put in. Same goes for the administration and the individual school staffs for everything they've done. So we think we've done a pretty good job of presenting a responsible budget, and we ask for your support. on Article 6. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Tim Josephson to speak from the school board on this article.
I don't have much more to add that Scott didn't already say. This is the Budget Committee's budget, and the school board unanimously approved, is in favor of this budget. We feel that this is a very responsibly crafted budget, and for that, our administration, our business administrator, they've really done a good job of finding where to trim, where we need to. One thing that I'm really kind of proud of our district is that we don't have layoffs like other districts might if they're facing a budget crunch. We're very smart, I think, in planning around attrition. As teachers retire, we're able to take advantage of that and move people around. I think we are able to stay lean and flexible. But yeah, I think this is a very responsibly crafted budget, and the school board wholeheartedly endorses this.
Thank you, Scott and Tim. Is there any discussion from the audience on Article 6? Wow.
This is great. Roger Dotville, Enfield. I would like to say on behalf of the people here, and being a former rep in the State House, that the state's determination to undermine public education through the Education Freedom Account, as well as their defiance to go by New Hampshire courts in a sum for funding adequate education. I think this school board and this budget committee has done an outstanding job making it work for us. And I think if people have concerns, because I've heard it from former constituents and people in town about our property taxes, that's not a school board issue. That's not a budget school issue. That is a legislative issue in Concord. And they're not supporting public education. And the fact that you people have stepped up and done an incredible job by coming in under a default budget is absolutely commendable, and we respect you for doing the best you can for the population of our towns. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on Article 6?
Yeah, Colin Bob Grafton. I'd just like to point out that over the past decade, the budget has increased by a third, from about 21 million to almost 33 million this year. Within that time frame, the school district has lost 200 kids. So the operating budget has gone up by a third, but the cost per student has almost doubled within that time. A decade ago it was about 17,000, and now it's close to 32,000 per kid.
24.
Excuse me?
24, as the previous speaker, Amanda, mentioned, 24,000.
That is coming from the tax revenue coming out from the district. You got to take into account the school also receives funds from the state and federal. So altogether, the cost per child has almost doubled. If you go to into the annual report to page 63, you can look at those numbers. The school alone from last year has lost 55 kids. So if you ask, what does sending 10 kids out of the district look like? I mean, the school district loses 55 kids, but yet that makes zero effect on the budget. It only goes higher. And just a clarifying question, is council a registered voter in the district?
No, and you bring up a good point. I would entertain a motion to allow non-district voters, non-district people here to speak. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
You are correct. I do have two motions on the floor. All right. Let's continue the discussion on Article 6.
Tim Lenahan, Enfield. I want to say, first and foremost, not just a thank you to both boards, but I want to give a thank you to the teachers and their labor organization for coming forward with reasonable negotiations. That helped keep money down. We are facing districts in this state being funded for special education at pre-COVID levels. Those rates were cut to 2020 levels, and we're not getting more expensive. We're looking at less than default. I would challenge anyone to go to the grocery store this year versus last year and find out they bought the same amount of stuff for less money. You can. And the only other point I would make here is that we're not in trouble. Rochester, just the other night, $4 million in the hole. Manchester, $9 million in the hole. We all know about Claremont, $5 million and counting in the hole. And they laid off 30 people before school ever started. That's not us. Thanks.
Any other discussion on warrant article number 6?
Thomas Opal from Canaan, and I have the honor of representing Canaan, Dorchester, and Orange in the state legislature. Let me make a couple of points. The first is that the state of New Hampshire is dead last, 50th out of 50 states, in terms of the state contribution for public education. We hear a lot of talk about numbers, but that number is a fact. This state contributes less than any other state to public education. And that forces local property taxpayers to pick up that tab or watch their education system decline. It's unfortunate, and those of us who support public education in Concord are trying our hardest to change it. Right now, we don't have the votes, but we're working for that. The second thing is, and it's been pointed out a number of times, that school populations are declining. The fact of the matter is, in New Hampshire, we have the second oldest population of any state in the country, and we're getting older. That's not a good thing. It's not. We're getting older, and at some point, there aren't going to be the people to take care of us in the nursing home. We're just going to run out of help. We're going to run out of workers unless we continue to both actually, retain young people and attract families to keep our economy going. And one way to do that, and I can say this as a parent, one of the things that I looked at was the educational system. So, the last thing I will say is, I have 3 children. All 3 of them are now either at school, college, or working. My oldest is serving in the Navy. When they moved out of my home, my heating bill didn't go down by 3/5. The heating bill kept going up. So there are some costs, and I think Scott Sanborn pointed out the increase, or maybe it was Tim, I forget, the increase just in health insurance alone. And for those of us who are looking at health insurance, who don't have it, those costs are skyrocketing. So there's some fixed costs the school board, the budget committee, the administration can't control. That's all. Thank you.
Any other discussion on Article 6?
Just I believe it's a point of order to allow the non-resident of the district to speak at this meeting?
Right.
Does that require a
Well,
motion?
I only have one motion on the floor at a time, so I want to finish this one first.
I did, sir.
Suspend the motion.
I want to continue with Article 6.
Okay, I thought you were done, sorry.
Somebody behind you.
In response to what was said, I'd like to make 2 points. One, again, if you look at page 63, the school district has lost a third of its body from over 1,600 students down to 1,000. That's a third of the number of students that attend the district. How many kids need at one point is having fewer students going to be reflected in the budget? If there's 200 students, are they still going to pay $33 million for educating 200 students? It declines every year, almost every year in the past 30 years, if you take a look at it. Yet the budget goes up every year. Regarding the money coming from the state, people have criticism that the state doesn't put enough money into the school district. State money, taxes come from taxes. It's going to be paid one way or another from taxes. It's just a matter of what pocket it comes out of.
Gary Whitley from Grafton again. Just want to find out what, if anything, the school committee and the budget committee have as far as involvement in looking at other ways of perhaps leasing out school facilities or looking at other ways of making money. I mean, when people move out of their house, they always have another option of trying to use different ways of having their heat reduced or whatever. Are there any ongoing activities in this respect that we're trying to look at to trying to increase our financial situation in that regard? Thank you.
I'd like to ask Tim Josephson to respond to the last speaker.
Yeah, we're a school district, not a business. We're not in the business of making money. We're here to educate kids.
One comment, and I'm sure Representative Vogel can probably...
Please speak your name and town, just for the school district clerk.
Roger Donville, Enfield.
Thank you.
I'm sure Representative Vogel can address this. When I heard about taxes, the problem with taxes is that the state has dropped the business tax an astronomical amount, and that provides money to the general fund, which also goes to education. And our former governor wanted to bring the business tax down to zero, which would eliminate an incredible amount of money in the state coffers. And with the Education Freedom Account, that money is over $20-some million that is diverted from local school districts to private institutions, whether they be religious or private or homeschool or what have you. But there's over $20 million leaving the state coffers there. And the taxes, property taxes are what you and I pay. We're not paying, unless you have a business, you're not paying a business tax. So to think that money, the tax money, we're going to pay it one way or the other, that is an incorrect analogy here. And I could probably ask Representative Opel if I described that kind of correctly or not. Okay? So tax money is, property taxes is different than state money. And the amount of money in the state pool is going down, 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 and that makes our taxes go up, up, up. So who do you want to pay taxes? You want the businesses to pay the taxes from out of town, Amazon? Some of these places are paying 0 to limited taxes, while you and I are paying anywhere. My taxes have gone up in the 30 years I've lived in Enfield, almost double. So I don't think Amazon is paying double the taxes what they're paying, and the southern part of the state runs the state because that's where all the businesses are. That's why you see all the cars from Massachusetts down there, because they're not paying any tax. So do not confuse property tax with state tax. Two different animals. Thank you.
Kate Plumley, Stewart, Enfield. I'd like to call a question.
If you're in line, you may speak. Wayne.
Wayne Morrison, Canaan. I spent 11 years on the budget committee and the school board dealing with budgets like this. And I have to say that I'm very impressed with the budget this year, that you were able to keep it under 1%. I know how difficult that is from painful experience. And I'd like to commend the school board and the budget committee and the administration for keeping it that low. Thank you.
If there's no other discussion on Article 5, the operating budget, it will go on the ballot as printed. Scott?
I heard one word, but I don't. Is now the appropriate time?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Scott made a motion to limit reconsideration on Article 6. Tim Joseph seconded. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Dave.
I would like to make a motion to allow non-residents to speak at this meeting, so that our attorney can address issues and questions. Thank you.
Tim Josephson, seconded. All those in favor of allowing non-residents to speak, please raise your cards. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Article 7, Teacher Negotiated Agreement. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to approve the cost items included in the collective bargaining agreement reached between the Mascoma Valley Regional School Board and the Mascoma Valley Regional Education Association, which calls for the following increases in salaries and benefits at the current staffing level over those paid in the prior year. 2027, estimated increase $353,146. 2028, fourth estimated increase $422,387. 2029, estimated increase $436,916. And further to raise and appropriate $353,146 for the current fiscal year, such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at the current staffing levels. Shall the district, if Article 7 is defeated, authorize the school board to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 7 cost items only? Majority vote required. School board recommends 501. Budget committee recommends 501. Do I have a motion to discuss? Tim Joseph, open discussion. Scott, seconded. I'm going to ask Tim Josephson to speak to this warrant article.
Thank you, Deb. So on this warrant article for the teachers negotiated agreement, the school board entered into negotiations with the Mascoma Valley Regional, the union representing the teachers. We were able to come to an agreement with them, as you can see here. One of the biggest things that Scott said earlier, the biggest driver in a lot of this is healthcare. I mean, I know it, you get your healthcare bill, you have to shop in the marketplace, you see what that is. It's a mess right now. And we are very glad that the teachers union was amenable to changing the healthcare plans that we currently have them on that drives the cost. They shifted to take on more of the cost of their healthcare plan. And so the savings, that's why the first year you see is lower than the rest, because we realized those savings by switching to a different healthcare plan for them. Another thing that we looked at is some creative ways to use the teachers that we have already in the building instead of hiring more. So coming up with language that allows them to use prep periods if they so choose to teach and take on an extra class. We figured that we could save positions just by doing that. The other thing that we were able to do is, again, with the healthcare costs, doing the math on how much it costs to insure somebody and looking at what a buyout would be if they are eligible to get health insurance from another, their partner or someone else in their family, was significant. And by working with the union to see that buyout was possible and that they had enough members where it would be fiscally sound, we were able to put that language in there as well to buy them out of their healthcare obligation here on our side if they're able to show that they have it from somebody else. And that will be a significant savings the more people that take up on that. But yeah, that is what we entered into negotiations with the union for. These are the people that educate our kids. They're the ones that get our kids where they go. They're the ones who get them launched out into the world. I have one daughter as a graduate of this school and another one's a senior. And I've just been really impressed with the quality of education that their teachers have provided for them. We're a small district. You can go right to the teacher. It's not like a huge district where it's giant mess of administration, all that. It's right here, it's in our town. And these teachers care a lot about our kids, and I hope you support this in March. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Would anybody from the Budget Committee like to speak to this article?
Scott Sanborn again. The school board is the group that negotiates with the teachers on this, not the budget committee, but as Tim just explained, this was a very cooperative approach between both parties, and we feel it's very responsible. Our teachers are your neighbors and your friends, and they deserve to make a living the same as the rest of us. So we are very much in support of this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any discussion on Article 7, Teacher Negotiated Agreement? If there is none, it will go on the ballot as printed. Okay, moving on. Kate Plumley Stewart made a motion to limit reconsideration.
On Article 6 and 7.
We did 6. So to limit reconsideration on Article 7. Do I have a second? Tim Josephson seconded. All those in favor, please raise your card. Thank you. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, Article 8, Facilities Capital Reserve. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $350,000 to be added to the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 1988 to fund the capital improvement plan. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. School Board recommends 600. Budget Committee recommends 600. Like a motion to open. Tim made a motion to open discussion. Do I have a second? Andrew Cushing seconded. I'm going to ask Joe Wood to speak from the school board on this article.
Morning. My name is Joseph Wood. I'm the Field representative. The capital improvement plan is a long-term planning document that helps the district identify and prioritize major building and infrastructure needs before they become emergencies. The facilities capital improvement or capital reserve fund is a tool that allows us to act on planning and ensuring resources are available before they are needed. You're going to find the capital improvement plan on page 32 of your annual report, by the way. The project supported in the facilities capital improvement capital reserve fund focuses on safety, code compliance, and protecting the district's facilities. All costs included in the plan are vetted through the CIP process and are based on professional estimates. When this type of work is deferred, costs typically increase over time, and the risk of emergency repairs rises. Repairs are almost always more expensive and more disruptive when they arise. Adding to the facilities capital reserve fund allows the district to be proactive rather than reactive on supports responsible long-term use of taxpayer dollars. In fiscal year 27, the planned projects include upgrading the athletic field at Indian River School, paving the CES parking lot, updating the lighting that you see above us in the auditorium, and replacing the high school septic system. The total estimated cost for these projects is approximately $340,000. These investments address safety concerns, aging infrastructure, and the long-term reliability of our facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Would anybody from the Budget Committee like to speak to this article? Scott?
I just would like to say, as I do every year in general, that utilizing the capital reserve funds is just simply sound financial planning. It allows us to anticipate larger costs and not have to fund them through either the operating budget or through bonds and loans and that sort of thing. And it also allows us to have, in some cases, the ability to meet unexpected expenses without a lot of legal rigmarole to make it happen. And it allows us to go from year to year with an operating budget that isn't going to spike like crazy up and down as some of these larger projects need to be dealt with. So and it's also structured so that it doesn't impact your bottom line as far as what we vote on for our expenditures in March. So if we spend the total budget, then these don't get funded. But if we have the monies available, then we can add them to the capital reserve funds where necessary and move forward. So the Budget Committee can speak for all of the capital reserve items that we recommend we continue with this approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any discussion on Article 8, Facilities Capital Reserve?
The capital reserve is a good way to make sure that projects, Government Grafton. The capital reserve is a good way to keep up on things that need to be done. This has come up in past years at Deliberative, and I also brought this up at a school board meeting regarding the language at the end of the article that says no amount to be raised from additional taxation. Although technically correct, it is somewhat misleading regarding what would happen with that money otherwise. So my amendment is simply to change the wording at the end of the article. It does not make any amendment to the amount being raised or does anything to, it's just a technical phrasing, no change to the warrant article as with its intent.
Caroline Morrison.
Wait, Carol, I need to read it first.
Okay.
Thank you. So we have a motion to amend Article 8 that reads as follows. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $350,000 to be added to the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 1988 to fund the capital improvement plan. This sum to come from June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, funds that otherwise would be returned to the taxpayer. Do I have a second for this motion?
Gary Whitney from Grafton. I second this motion.
Thank you, Gary. So we have an amendment on the floor. Do I need to read this? Tim Joseph made a motion to open this amendment for discussion. Do I have a second? Elise Payson seconded.
I'm not sure why we would take that off. Part of the reason is that this warrant is a legal question, and it's a series of questions that relate to the previous questions that you answered. So the first question on here has to do with the budget. So that's the first question we're talking about. When you get to the following questions, like 7, 8, or 8, 9, and 10, talking about capital reserve funds, it's referencing back to this first question of the budget. So it's saying no amount to be raised from additional taxation means no additional taxation above and beyond what we're already talking about in Article 6. It refers back to it. So that is the legal language that goes around it. It's there to protect us and protect you, the taxpayer, because it's guaranteeing that this money comes out of the previous question, not an additional taxation that would be levied in addition to the first budget question. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Tim. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Carol?
Maybe this will clarify it a little bit. My husband and I live on Social Security checks. We earned that money. We earned that pension. We spent our lives working. When we get our checks every month, I look at what we need to spend, and then I move money into savings accounts. At our bank, we have a whole bunch of accounts that we can move money into. We didn't get more from Social Security just because we had enough to put in the savings account. In some months, we don't have any left over to go in the savings account. What this is saying is, if at the end of the year we've got some money, we can put it in the savings accounts. And if we don't, we can't.
Dave Buffet, a question to the attorney. From what I've seen in many articles like this, seems to be prescribed legal wording for an article like this, and therefore I would oppose this amendment.
Yes, this is not prescribed by law. The DRA, Department of Revenue Administration of the state, they recommend language that says no amount to be raised from taxation. Our firm generally advises school districts to use the phrase as is included in the article, or I would say it's underneath the article. It's actually not part of the article itself. It's up to the governing body to decide how they want to, whether they want to add that language in. And I can tell you that no amount to be raised from additional taxation is pretty standard language throughout the state on these types of articles, articles that call for monies to be used from unfunded, or remaining unfunded balance. But the motion does seek to amend the language of the article at the tail end of the article, so that it is appropriate for the body to discuss and debate whether to add that extra language to the question.
Very good from Grafton again. Just to emphasize, there is no legal requirement that says you can't do this. DRA is spoken. That's just the way it is. There's no legal reason to do it. That's what I just heard. Page 43 of our report discusses the kind of money we're talking about here. This is money that will be given back to the towns from the unassigned fund balance. It would normally be returned to the taxpayers. They paid the money, they get it back. That's the way the law reads. We're taking the money out of this account and we're putting it into a place that takes it away from the taxpayers.
Correct, it becomes assigned fund balance at that point.
Right, it says we can't do this.
Thank you, Gary. Is there any other discussion?
I should have just mentioned this at the beginning. I've contacted the DRA, the Department of Revenue Administration. Yes, it is their general suggestion. They couldn't give any specific reason behind that wording. There is no legal. It was said at the board meeting that at the school board meeting that it was mandated by statute. There is no legal requirement. There's no legal anything behind it. Somebody drafted that many years ago, and it's just been a default. This language doesn't change anything to the allocation or moving the money. It's just a truer representation of what would happen to that money otherwise. This is money that would otherwise go to offset this year's taxes or go back to the taxpayers. So again, this amendment doesn't take a position for or against the allocation of the money in the first place. It's just a technical, so people understand what would happen to that money if they're not being raised.
Bob Souza, Town of Canaan. In the spirit of the earlier comment about it's taxes, it just matters where you pay them. If you were to try to not put the money in the undesignated fund balance, it would not be available for these repairs. You'd have to put in a warrant article and raise taxes for the repairs. It's a moot point.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment to Article 8? I have somebody who said move the question. Wally Andrew. I need a second. I'm going to read the amendment again. Article 8, Fund Facilities Capital Reserve. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $350,000 to be added to the Facilities Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 1988 to fund the capital improvement plan. This sum to come from June 30 fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, funds that otherwise would be returned to the taxpayer. So we will take a vote on this. If you are in favor of the amendment to Article 8, please raise your voter card. Thank you. Those opposed? The nays have it. Thank you. Tim made a motion to limit reconsideration on Article 8. Scott Sanborn seconded. All those in favor of limiting reconsideration on Article 8, please raise your card. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, moving on to Article 9, Fund the Cafeteria Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a sum up to $10,000 to be added to the Cafeteria Equipment Capital Reserve Fund previously established in 2003. This sum to come from June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. School Board recommends 600. Budget Committee recommends 600. Do I have a motion to open discussion on Article 9? Tim Josephson, do I have a second? Amber Bissonnette? Thank you. I think Laura would like to speak to this warrant article on cafeteria equipment.
Hi everybody, I'm the school representative, the school board representative from Dorchester, New Hampshire. And for the Article 9, we're hoping to reserve funds from the end of school balance into a fund for cafeteria equipment for every school to have pieces of equipment that need to be replaced over the next few years. Obviously, school equipment for the cafeteria is important for the daily operations and for nutrition of students. And they have limited lifespans. If these pieces of equipment go bad before we have replaced them, it potentially could be more costly to do it at that time, and also be providing nutrition to the students. So we ask that $10,000 are put into that fund, and overall the cost that's needed to replace the equipment would be $44,918.42.
Would anybody from the Budget Committee like to speak to cafeteria equipment? They're all set with that. Is there any discussion on warrant article number 9? Seeing none? Seeing none, it will go on the ballot as printed. I have a motion from Tim Josephson to reconsideration on Article 9. Do I have a second? I will take Taylor on that. All right. All those in favor of limiting reconsideration on Article 9, please raise your card. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. Article 10, by petition. To see if the school district will vote to changes the mission statement to at Mascoma Valley Regional School District, we aspire to have 67% proficiency in reading and writing. School board recommends 050. Budget committee recommends 060. Do I have a motion to open discussion on Article 10? Tim Josephson, in a second. Amber Bissonnette. I'd like to ask the lead petitioner to speak to this warrant article. Yakov?
Hello. This is basically
Sorry, but say it again just because I didn't catch it.
Yaakov Abuhav in Grafton. Yaakov Abuhav. So this petition is brought forth for the reason that I think and other people obviously who all signed the petition, I think that the school has kind of lost sight in a way on what its function is supposed to be. There has been talk earlier about how great the athletics are doing and the volleyball and the football, but that is not the prime reason the school exists. That's not what the school is supposed to be. And that is not reflected in the state constitution, which the mandate to pay for the schools comes from in the first place. So I think this just shines a light on the fact that, that we should aspire to get to at least a, 2 out of 3 students at proficiency level. Currently it's only 1 out of 2 students is at proficiency level when it comes to reading and writing. So these are according to the own school numbers. That's that. During the budget meeting, there was a discussion regarding the petition, and some points were brought up about perhaps the language in the article wasn't as clear. I do have an amendment if people want to clarify the language a bit. But aside from that, there was brought up a concern about this might affect the how the budget would be spent in the next year, saying we might not have enough money to try to achieve such a goal. And I would ask, is it the case that with $33 million, the school does not have enough money to bring the proficiency level even up to 67%? It was also brought up that this mission statement was originally drawn out by a committee, and that's great that people participated in that, opening it up for all the voters in the district to have a say in what the mission statement is. Just to read the current mission statement, we are a community that values creativity, curiosity, and the pursuit of excellence, cultivating our strengths and interests to inspire partnerships in the district, community, and the world beyond. It sounds nice, but it's not actually a mission. There's nothing that's drawn out of this that can actually tell you what the school should be doing. It's too broad, it's too vague, and I think focusing on a very specific goal is just a better route to take. I'm happy to hear what people have to say.
Carol Ann Morrison, Canaan. I worked in Mascoma schools, mostly the middle school, from 2008 through, I think it was 2023. I worked directly with students, and my experience was test scores don't show everything. My first thought when I read this article was, why are they setting the bar at 67%? It's much higher than that. It may be that the test scores aren't, but that doesn't mean the kids aren't reading. Part of the time I worked in the schools, I was the school librarian. I can tell you right now, kids were coming in and taking out books. Kids were reading those books. Kids were coming home back and talking to us about what they read. The rest of the time I was in classrooms, working with kids some of whom struggled to read, but they, for the most part, all could read. I will admit some special needs students can't reach that goal, but they try. So this is a moot point because it's not something that's actually wrong. And if you're only basing it on test scores, which how many people in this world can't pass a stupid standardized test? Let's get a grip here.
Tim Lenahan, Enfield. I'm going to make a couple of comments, and I want to start by saying the first set of comments. While I do not speak officially for the state, I am the director of the Office of the Advocate for Special Education. The number 3 issue I see in this state that comes across my desk has to do with reading. A large portion of that has to do with some of our folks, like this midget right here. Can't hear me. Had kindergarten by Zoom, and God bless Christy Letson for doing it. But some of these kids did not get the reading foundation that they got to start with, and we're coming out of that. It's getting better. I'd also add that in my role, one of my biggest things is to measure whether or not a student is making adequate progress. And to that end, Enfield Village School, where the aforementioned short stuff over there attends, 2023 we had ELA levels of 59 compared to the state average of 52. In 2024, 68% as opposed to the state average of 53. And in 2025, 77% as opposed to the state average of 55. That's what I call adequate progress.
Hello, Dave Schindlinger. I live in Canaan. And I speaking specifically specifically this Article 10, the petition warrant article, I can agree 67% is a goal, and it could be even higher, as Carol said. But it's really just that, it's a goal. I wouldn't consider it something of a mission statement. There's a few things like not capitalizing the district and things like that. But that's not my main concern with this article. It's that there was, and as the writer even mentioned when he came down here, that there was a committee. The Strategic Planning Committee spent years and got insight from all 5 towns, from teachers and parents and community members, education professionals. There was listening sessions, and it's a process. And I guess I should point out that it is an ongoing process. There will be other opportunities for input, and obviously I think that would be the time to put input in. It is valuable to have all 5 towns and all walks of life putting that in there. But I just feel that this is not an appropriate article, and so, yeah, so like I said, I want to make a motion to amend the article, which is basically just reverting it back to what the current mission statement is, as was already shared. But basically, I'd like to move to amend it that shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to maintain its current mission statement that reads, "We are a community that values creativity, curiosity, and the pursuit of excellence, cultivating our strengths and interests to inspire partnerships in the district, community, and the world beyond." And so I have this in writing, I will bring it down. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Betty Plikta. I live in Enfield, and I have been a lifelong teacher. I find this a very difficult to read article that you would change the mission statement of a school. One of the problems I have is with the word aspire. That just means you're really hoping that 67% of the children will have proficiency in reading and writing. I know as an educator, I would hope that the school would have the highest aspirations for students, because we know that kids work to their highest expectations. I would like to see it 100% of the students, that the aspiration for the school district is that 100% of the students have proficiency in reading and writing, and math, and STEM. When I read your prior mission statement, I find that it's a lovely mission statement, contrary to what the other person said. I think that creativity is a phenomenal thing for children. Learning by doing is a phenomenal thing for children, to be able to demonstrate learning. And I just find that this is really very sad. If I were a parent moving into this district and saw that that was the mission statement, that the school district hopes 67% of the students will gain proficiency in reading and writing, I would not move here.
Thank you. Before we move on, we do have a motion to amend Article 10 that I'd like to read. I have a motion and a second, and then I will let you speak. You need to be at the microphone, we can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. I'm Helen Skice from Canaan. My question is, are we allowed to amend an article that was written by a petition? That's my question.
So I'm going to read the motion to amend Article 10, and then we'll discuss it. So the amendment reads, shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to maintain its current mission statement that reads, we are a community that values creativity, curiosity, and the pursuit of excellence, cultivating our strengths and interests to inspire partnerships in the district, community, and the world beyond. And Kate Plumley Stewart seconded that. Okay, Becky?
Well, from Enfield, I'm confused now about, we already had an amendment on the floor that we were discussing, that the gentleman from...
That was a petition warrant article.
Okay.
Now we have an amendment.
Okay.
That I just read.
I understand. Okay. And my comment is not really on that amendment. If I can comment on Article 10, I also think Whether or not you like the current mission statement, I think this is saying we'll replace it, to change it to this aspiration for reading and writing, which is a fine goal, but as the woman up here said, what about math? What about science? What about history? What about philosophy? I mean, all those other things are part of our mission. So to say the whole mission statement is going to be aspiring to a certain reading and writing level just leaves out so much.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the amendment to warrant Article 10?
Good morning, Danielle Thompson from Enfield. Apologies for my sniffles. I have been part of the strategic planning committee that originally reviewed and came up with the mission statement, knowing that we had a number of stakeholders and opportunities for involvement from all over the community, and that has been revisited by the school board and by additional iterations of that strategic planning committee. I would encourage that we vote yes for the amendment to Article 10. There's already a process in place for us to use this mission statement as a living, breathing type of way that we can guide our students and our community to what's best needed at that particular time. So there is a process in place. I would encourage anyone who has questions or concerns about the way that the district is implementing the mission in the actual operations to come to school board and budget committee meetings on a regular basis to have that granular sort of opportunity and input to the issues that you find most salient to you at that particular time. I am in favor of the amendment to Article 10.
Bob Souza Canaan again. For the record, I do not care for Article 10 as it's written, and I would be voting no. But I also believe it's a point of order that I think the amendment that was presented that we're about to vote on, I think it's inappropriate. I think it drastically changes Article 10. I think that's outside of the restrictions in the book on how we can amend warrant articles. I don't think we can change it 180 degrees. I think we can tweak the language, but that amendment, as much as I want to see that, I think it's inappropriate.
I want to ask the legal representative to respond to that.
Yes, it's well established in New Hampshire law that petition warrant articles are subject to amendment as long as you don't change the subject matter. I think it's pretty clear the subject matter of this article is the mission statement, and the body can decide whether it wishes to. You change the intent, you just can't change the subject matter. So, this body has authority and power to amend that intent as it so determines, it so chooses. I would advise the body as well, though, that as I've indicated to the school board, that this would be an advisory article. Ultimately, this body, the voters of the district, be raising appropriate monies for the operation of the district. Ultimately, the school board, through council with the administration, determine the day-to-day workings of the district. There's been some discussion already about the time and effort that went into the development of the current mission statement. I don't believe the current mission statement went to a vote of the district. That was developed and determined ultimately by the school board. It's not. It's still a proper petition warrant article. It's on the ballot. It will go to voters for a vote. It could be a useful referendum for the school board to consider it when that vote comes down. But this body has real authority to amend the intent of this article. And again, the subject matter is the mission statement, and the parties, the voters are here to debate the article, and that's what the process here is about.
Thank you, Peter. Go ahead.
Enfield. I'm just looking for clarification as to the amendment and the article itself, if we were to vote no on the amendment and no on the article, does the current mission statement just hold as being what it is?
If you vote no on the amendment, and then the language in Article 10 as printed would go on the ballot, and then you could vote no then as well. The mission, like Peter said, it's purely advisory, this petition warrant article.
It's just to move the warrant article. It just seemed like the amendment was reverting back to the original mission statement.
That's correct.
So I just wanted to see where that played. Thank you.
I think that was the intent.
Hi, Kate Plumley Stewart, Enfield. One of the things that really is very challenging with petition warrant articles is that sometimes you get a petition warrant article that's very serious, that is very well written, and this is not the case here, right? I hate to say it, but there is a long series of a faction of people in this district who make a mockery of this process. And this is a mockery. There are spelling errors. I feel like they might be intentional. I think it's very important to take this process seriously and to have an article go forward to a vote that is a serious article. The amendment is a serious amendment. It reaffirms something that this district has crafted and done a full process around. And I think it's important that you pass the amendment to Article 10.
Dave Buffet, Enfield. My life has been based on education, and I am well aware that this district follows metrics of proficiency throughout their education process of from kindergarten, preschool, onward till graduation. It is important to do so and to provide clear, transparent, and available results of that so that we can be proud of what we do. This, unfortunately, doesn't do that. I oppose this and call a question.
I will accept the lead petitioner to respond.
Can I get a reading on the amendment
Right.
that was proposed?
Next is
Well,
amendment.
can I hear the amendment first? As well?
Shall the Mascoma Valley Regional School District vote to maintain its current mission statement that reads, "We are a community that values creativity, curiosity, and the pursuit of excellence, cultivating our strengths and interests to inspire partnerships in the district, community, and the world beyond."
I believe there might be legal wording problematic with that amendment, but the amendment alone, I mean, proposing to have what the default already is just seems unnecessary. If people are not in favor of this warrant article, they could just vote it down, deliberative, voting day. To have an amendment that states what currently is, I mean, a lot of the argument that was coming from the school board was that they didn't believe that this was the proper way to actually do that. If people vote for that and for this amendment and it gets voted in the ballot, that is sending the message that that is the way to set what the mission statement is.
Thank you, Yakov. Does anybody want me to read the amendment again before we vote on the amendment to warrant Article 10?
I'm Michael Reese from Canaan. I don't mean to be picky. I just have a question. At the municipal level, the budget committee doesn't vote, or recommend or not recommend on warrant articles that don't have any financial impact. What was the reason that the budget committee?
I'm going to let the chair of the budget committee answer that question.
Sure, I appreciate just the enlightenment. Thank you.
Hi, Michael. Yes, you're exactly correct. When this was presented to us at our meeting, we felt that it could have impacts on future budgeting, and especially particularly with such a specific number in place And in such a limiting statement, we felt that we were okay in giving our recommendation, or lack of recommendation in this case, to the article, because it can potentially impact our budgets in trying to address that mission statement. Thank you.
Point of order? Yes. If the amendment to Article 10 changes, then after I dissolve the deliberative session, the school board and the budget committee will meet briefly to re-vote on warrant Article 10. Okay, so we're voting on the amendment to motion to Article 10. All those in favor of amending Article 10 to read as the amendment, please raise your cards. All those opposed to the amendment, please raise your card. The ayes have it. So the warrant Article 10 will go on the ballot as amended. That is the end of the warrant articles. I would like to ask if there is any other business before this body. Tom.
Thomas Opal, Canaan, and State Representative for Grafton District 9, which is Canaan, Dorchester, Orange. I had mentioned this to Amanda, but I figured I'd do it myself. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, there will be a hearing for the House Transportation Committee on a bill I introduced regarding bus drivers. As I'm sure everyone, particularly those of you who have students in schools, there is a shortage of bus drivers. And one of the issues that came up several months ago in a Valley News story was that if you are certified to drive a bus in New Hampshire, the state of Vermont recognizes that certification and makes it easy for bus companies to find drivers from New Hampshire to employ them in Vermont. The same is not true the other way. So if you're certified to drive a bus in Vermont, you still have to go through a certification process in New Hampshire, which seems kind of silly. I had conversations with the Department of Public Safety and the Bus Driver Certification Office, and they see no reason why we shouldn't be doing reciprocal to ease the shortage. So again, Tuesday before the House Transportation Committee at 11 o'clock. If you can't come in person, and I understand why you might not be able to, you can go online to the New Hampshire General Court and submit your support and any testimony online. So please, please, the more support we have, the more likely the bill will pass and hopefully help mitigate the shortage of school bus drivers. Thank you for that.
What is the House bill number?
House Bill 1758, 1758.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Excuse me? I'm still asking for other business.
Well, I need a motion to adjourn.
I have one other thing, although, does somebody want to second his motion to adjourn? Thank you. I've been asked to let you know that there's an Enfield Candidates Hybrid Forum on Tuesday evening, March 3rd, from 7 to 8:30, and that is at the Enfield Community Building. Obviously Enfield people on the ballot will be there, but also if anybody that's running for a school board or budget committee is welcome to attend, and they should let David Beaufait know. Now I'll take that motion. Second, I have a second from Wally. So the deliberative session of the Mascoma Valley Regional School District is dissolved. Thank you all for attending.